down and you all, these are manufacturing folks I'm talking to, do it today. Go out on the floor, grab a supervisor and say, hey, who's really good out here? And they're going to go, yeah, Joe's awesome. He knows everything. He's good. I count on Joe. Okay. How do you measure that? And they're going to say he works overtime. He stays late. He comes in early. He's going to give you some time-based measurement because that's all
Yep.
we have right now. And Secchi is like, I can pull every recognition Joe's got all year. I can pull how many times you coached him. What'd you coach him on? Did he improve from that coaching? So we're measuring those behaviors, not just time.
Hello and welcome to the Manufacturing Connector, your gateway to the future of manufacturing. Our mission is to empower manufacturers with the insights into the latest innovations transforming the industry. Each week, we bring you cutting edge case studies, in depth demos, and expert interviews focused on the tools, technology, and techniques driving manufacturing forward. I'm your host, Jim Mayer, and today we are joined by Mike White, founder and president of Secchi. Mike's extensive background in HR leadership spans over 15 years, during which he managed HR operations for more than 60 manufacturing facilities globally, including Fortune 500 brands. His passion for data-driven decision-making and Six Sigma methodology has led him to become a pioneer in simplifying and optimizing HR practices through innovative software solutions. In 2022, Mike founded Secchi, a company dedicated to empowering HR professionals and frontline leaders with data-driven tools that simplify performance management, enhance employee engagement, and foster a culture of recognition and accountability. Secchi's software integrates seamlessly with existing HRIS systems, providing real-time performance reviews, automated reporting, and tools that reduce administrative burdens, allowing leaders to spend more time with their teams and less time behind a computer. In today's episode, we'll explore how Secchi is revolutionizing employee relationship management in the manufacturing industry, discuss some real world success stories, and get a hands-on demo of their powerful platform. Whether you're looking to improve employee engagement or streamline performance management, this episode is packed with actionable insights. Let's dive in and see the future of manufacturing on the Manufacturing Connector. Hello, Mike White. Welcome back, or
Hey,
welcome to the Manufacturing Connector, but welcome
yes.
back to one of my shows. This is the second time you've been with me. So give us a brief intro into who Mike White is, anything I may have left off of that intro.
Yeah, who I am. I like going to church. I like my family. I wish I rode my bike more, and I should say bicycle, because the ladies at Caterpillar really made fun of me when I said I ride a bike, and they were like, "In the spandex?" Or like, cat is a Harley riding, and I'm in Milwaukee now, so it's a Harley town.
Right.
So bicycle, I used to do that a lot. Yeah, started right out of grad school and I chose HR. I was going to be a teacher, and I switched directions completely. Looked at MBA programs, and I had run a business when I was in high school in cornfields, and learned that I could do a pretty good job if I focused on people. And then I'm looking at MBA programs, and I'm like, wait a second, the things I was good at are in HR. So I like to make people more productive.
That's awesome, man. And for those of you interested in hearing more about Mike's story, check out, I think it's episode, I want to say like 46 or 47 last year, season one, 46, 47. Great episode. You hear a lot more of Mike's story. We were at WIMTS, so you've got hydraulic sounds in the background. It was kind of a wild trip that we were on, but it was a great interview. So check that episode out. Mike, tell us about the journey of starting Secchi. How did it come about, and what is a problem that you identified that needed to be solved?
So yeah, the original problem is if you talk, you talk to founders in manufacturing, it's a little bit different than founders in software. And it started out as a tool to help me take care of really bad people that I couldn't seem to get the right documentation. And at first, I used to joke that I've done like 10,000 trainings on documentation. And I did the math because I'm a numbers guy. And I
Yeah.
was like, I think I really have, because it would be on a daily basis. A supervisor comes to me, plant manager calls me, an ops manager calls me and says, I have this problem. I think we need to move, so and so, we need to move Joey along, and he needs to find different opportunities. And I said, all right, great. Have we given him warning? Have we talked to him? Just do process things. And inevitably, everybody knows he sucks. And I was like, oh, perfect. Let's call Stephanie on the phone and tell her everybody knows he sucks. So that will be legally defensible. And it's this frustration. Like sometimes I actually had the manager call the employment lawyer with me, especially if it was an icky case that's not quite
Yeah.
clean. And I'm like, hey, I just want you to experience this because the lawyers do. And oh, you didn't do that. Oh, you didn't do that. And so I was like, we need to be better at documenting. But we need to make it so easy. Your HRIS system does documentation. We all know supervisors don't sign into that except to approve payroll. And so I'm like, man, I started with some folks in a different life of having an access database that was good, and I thought, oh, the big dogs will figure this out. And they keep building for HR people, they keep building for compliance people or CFOs, and we said we're going to take a different approach. We're going to build it so the supervisor gets more time on the floor. So how do we build something that one meets my need in HR, that documentation is good, but more importantly meets the need of that frontline leader? Because the less I get him, the more I get him out off his desk, the more product we're going to make, the safer we are, the higher quality, and at the end of the day, a better work environment. And
Yeah.
so it originally was built to fire people. And then what happens is we're in this like work shortage where 10,000 people are quitting a day. And so we have I'm like, "Hey, I got this great program to fire people." And everyone's like, "I need people." And we had built in a recognition piece to this. So not only does it help you keep track of attendance, like the real attendance, not your payroll. Like I have a rant about that. Not the keep track of real attendance and make it easy for a supervisor to do that. Not only does it keep track of your coaching and replaces these, not replaces these because I'm still holding it. I built the software, but it makes it so it's transferable from one leader to the next. It does that, but really the recognition piece is when you recognize somebody to get a text message. That's a key feature. And we leverage what's called operant behavioral conditioning, which is when you do good, I give you a cookie. So you stay after and you cleaned up when you didn't have to, you get a text message. And a great example is we have a Hispanic employee, English second language, of one of my customers. He gets this long text message that says, "You're a great, happy birthday. You're a great guy. Thank you for doing blank, blank, blank." We translate. The supervisor doesn't know. He's. I think he can say hola.
Conversational.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hola, but he doesn't know Spanish. Well, he writes this big long message. The guy's out to dinner with his family, and he gets to share that with his family. Look, my boss just sent me this message, and we gave him. He comes in the next morning just higher than a kite, like happy as can be, in a good high, not like not the HR dealing with. But he's happy as can be because he got that interaction, and we all crave that connection. We crave that connection, whether it's positive, negative, neutral, coaching. We crave connection with people. And I'm getting back. I'm coming full circle here. Is the the weird thing about holding people accountable is the more you hold people accountable, your higher your retention is. And so accountability doesn't have to be a negative thing. Accountability is recognition and its engagement. And as I got farther along in my journey of the startup, and I got it right up here. So if I'm going to summarize all this talking real quick, is it's a employee relationship management software. And so what we do is you throw out engagement a lot, and people think you're going to stay at a job because you have a good Christmas party. People don't. They don't care if you got the birthday cake or not. They care about the relationship and that connection. And so we've taken the concept of your sales team builds connections through a tool and being intentional. And if you ever had a salesperson walk up to you and say, "Oh yeah, I keep all my customers right here," you go, "Dude, get Salesforce, get HubSpot, get I use Monday.com, get something to keep that stuff together." What are you talking about? You can't manage 20 people in your brain, but yet we don't give a supervisor the tool to do that. And so we're very similar in that we're intentional relationship building, except we take it from the customer and we put it to our internal customer, which are is our employees.
I love it. I love it. And there's so much that goes along with that, right? I mean, between the recency bias when you are doing
Oh yeah.
performance reviews, right? If I mess up today and my review was last week, the chances of my boss remembering my mess up or my success, right? Both directions in literally 51 weeks from now is slim to none. So you guys provide that tool for these frontline leaders, right?
Oh man. Yeah, the number of times I've sat down and you all, these are manufacturing folks I'm talking to. Do it today. Go out on the floor, grab a supervisor and say, "Hey, who's really good out here?" And they're going to go, yeah, Joe's awesome. He knows everything. He's good. I count on Joe." How do you measure that? And they're going to say he works overtime, he stays late, he comes in early. He's going to give you some time-based measurement because that's all
Yep.
we have right now. And Secchi is like, I can pull every recognition Joe's got all year. I can pull how many times you coached him. What'd you coach him on? Did he improve from that coaching? So we're measuring those behaviors, not just time. And so the number of times I've sat in a meeting at end of the year reviews, who's getting Steven. Steven's got a bad attitude. And I'm like, well, I kind of know what's going on. I'm like, he does? And then they're like, yeah, last February, he blew up. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, that didn't, one is, did you document it? No. Did you talk to him about it? No. Or it's like, I learned very quickly at a big corporation I worked at, don't do anything good in the first half. I purposefully worked, and your employees will do the same thing. It's like, I'm going to knock this stuff out. The hardest year I've ever worked and produced the best results, undeniably on paper, best results. I got to meet expectations, and it broke my freaking heart. And
Yep.
I was like, what did I do wrong? And ultimately, what I decided is one, I'm an ops guy and I went to the corporate office. So that kind of, I needed to adjust my style a little bit, get a little softer. And then two is I had all my deadlines in the first half of the year. I moved all my deadlines to October, right before they get in the meeting and talk about you. And I got the superior the next year. I got the top rating the next year. So and I didn't work as hard, but I just
Yeah.
moved. It literally incentivized me to do the wrong thing for the business.
Yep. So let's talk about some case studies. Let's talk about some companies that you've impacted, man. Because over on Secchi.io, there's a couple of success stories that you have on there. Mervis Industries being one of them. Talk to us about some of these companies that you guys have seen success with over the course of the last couple of years.
Yeah, so it's interesting what companies what the need is of companies. So ultimately, we help you take care of the employees you don't want on your workforce. And what that's one of the key things. But you go, "Oh, I'm going to lose people." No, we bring your attention. You're spending if you mapped out as a supervisor, how much time who am I spending time with? You're spending most of your time with the person that's not doing the work because you're trying to get them to do the work. So let's flip that. Let's put our time into the people that are doing and let's encourage them. Let's show them they matter. And then also let's get the forgotten middle. The
Yeah.
forgotten middle, it never ceases to amaze the people that show up every day, don't squeak, aren't squeaky wheels. They're not innovating left and right, but they are where you cash your checks. They are the
Yep.
cash cow of manufacturing. Is that person that can never be late, that sometimes you want them to stay over, but they're so rigid. Those are some really great people. And sorry, I'm gonna get on a tangent. I was in a leadership group this week, and a president of a company, they asked us, what job if you were 18 you could go back and do again. He owns a machining company,
Okay.
huge, 200 or 250 employees, and he said, I wish I was a machinist. I laugh because I always say I meet the smartest people that just value they could be corporate executives, but they value the routine, they value building stuff with their hands, they value sleeping in their own bed at night. And
Yeah.
so they could be running the company. This guy's actually running the company. He's like, I wish I was still there, back machining. So valuing that person in the middle, you're probably I should just ask, are you missing that middle? Because
Right.
bumping that middle 50% up, 2% is a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so when we focus there, when you focus on the good and not the bad, it really improves your culture. And a
I
culture is
love it.
one of those hard words to deal with. And
Yeah.
it's engagement's another one.
Yep.
Oh, you say engagement. What does that mean? To us, it means the connection with individuals.
Yeah.
Because none of us are in business if we don't make a strong connection.
Yep. Absolutely. But walk us through Mervis, or what are some of the other ones on here?
So
My favorite is the cheesemaker. So walk us through some of these, either
yeah,
the cheesemaker or some of these.
so they're different benefits for different people, different customers. But one of the Mervis and the New H-Tro Queso specifically is they have a small HR team and they have a workforce. Mervis has a workforce that's spread out. So when I was sitting in my office 15 years ago, you walk in, you go, okay, what are what what stupid thing is going to happen today that I have to investigate or I have to address, or who's in a fight, and whose points on attendance are coming up. So Matt down there, he saw the value and he's got a bunch of sites all over. He can't keep track of what's going on with each individual employee. But with Secchi, you have the transparency. Like, oh, I know this employee with like their big thing was the attendance tracking. How do I make
Mhm.
attendance tracking well? And so make this really easy for the supervisor. We automatically create write-ups for attendance. The supervisor gets to administer it. We still have HR approvals. So it's boom, boom, boom. It's done. And it saves a ton of time and back and forth. And then you win all your legal stuff because it's nice and pretty.
All right.
The new Astro, what was happening there is, if you have a point system, and a lot of people think, oh, HR has a point system on the payroll app, Paycom, Paycor, Workday. Yes, you do. It is an enormous amount of work to manage that. I mean,
Yeah.
enormous amount of work to make that right. And so their HR was bogged down at a desk doing all of this paperwork. And what Secchi was is like, oh no, you can do it on your app. You can do it on your phone. I added a point. The employee gets a text message. They know how many points they have. They have the warrant. Supervisor has a warning in front of them, so it saves all that administration. That's great for HR, but really, your audience is operating. And the big one for me, the big one is I had Dustin Shimmick. He has a podcast called Data Ideas. I work with him at Masterlock. He is a leader and influencer, 40,000 plus followers on
Wow.
LinkedIn, which is a lot on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
His posts regularly get 200,000 people engaging in them. I asked Dustin as a friend, I said, will you look at my data? And he just did, I blinded the data. And he's like, he called me at 10 o'clock at night. Dustin's not calling me. Him and I are not like 10 o'clock at night calling people. And I'm like, what's going on, man? And he was so pumped up that he found an increase in one of my I can't mention their name actually, Fortune 500 customer that you you would know their brands immediately. They increased their recognition 224% based off our data. And it was at Thanksgiving time. The HR leader put in goals for the team, or was putting in goals at the end of the year, upcoming year, around Secchi and around engagement. So she puts in the goal, the productivity, or excuse me, the recognition shoots up, probably because we want to be thankful for Thanksgiving. It sustains over the next few months, and he was able to cut it up, and they reduced their disciplines by 75%. So this is a 400 person facility. So their disciplines reduced 75%. Do you know how much time you waste issuing
Oh
corrective?
man,
So I just
that's
told you,
massive.
yeah. So I just told you we make it like, oh yeah, it fires people. But ultimately, once you get through the bad five, six, seven people, then you you're like, oh, we have this flat line, and you go, well, what's going on? Boom, recognition. Everybody, let's make an effort to just say thank you more.
Yeah.
I don't want to make my recognition not count for anything. No, I have the data. Double your recognition. Your discipline goes down 75%. Additionally, their attendance events, so their lates, their leave earlies, that dropped 50. I might be a little bit off. So somebody, when they look at the case study, it was it was either 48 or 54%. I'm getting my numbers, but
Yeah.
basically your event your attendance events drop in half when you update your workforce on just saying thank you.
So is that peer to peer or is that leader to employee recognition?
Their leader, they're a big corporation, they have all the systems, right? So the birthdays, they have a peer-to-peer manual process, but
Okay.
this is from supervisors to employees and managers to employees. And what their manager, shout out to first names like Aaron and Mark, their managers do a hell of a job promoting one of our, and they're probably the best of all my customers. One of our features is called it perfect attendance streaks. Jim, if I asked you to go into the factories you worked in and said, "Hey, you walk in and it says, how many days since our last injury?" Right?
Yep.
So then you ask the HR person, "Hey," or the lead general manager, "Hey, how long since that person hasn't had an unexcused?" And so think about if you walked around a factory and you had a little unexcused absence sign above their head. Maybe
Yeah.
we have Google glasses and we can see. So we track perfect attendance of unplanned absences. So
Wow.
Mark and Aaron do a great job. They have 150 employees roughly each that they manage. So to be able to build that relationship, they need a tool to keep them up to date on their personal stuff and their attendance streaks. So they recognize people, and they're like, hey, I just read one the other day that said you are at 945 days without an occurrence, without a point, essentially. Keep it up, make it to 1,000. And what that employee doesn't know is I got to create a little trophy or a plaque to send. We're going to send the 1,000 person club. If you've made it 1,000 days without perfect attendance, we're gonna shoot off something to you.
That's awesome.
Think about the profitability of that. And now
Yeah.
being like, oh, I'm not feeling good today. My stomach hurts. Got a little headache. Yeah, I could probably go to work. Well, I'm not going to mess up my 940-day streak. Or as I like to say here in Milwaukee, I keep it on the down low, but I'm from Illinois, Bears fan. So when Bears Packers play on Monday night, and my wife makes fun of me for how many quarterbacks the Bears have had, and if you're at a party watching the game, are you going to take the extra shot? Are you going to have the other beer? It goes into overtime. I'm going to drive home before overtime because I'm not messing up my streak. So they're able to build a relationship second level down. They wouldn't have been able to.
That's awesome. Well, and when you have teams that big, the amount of time that you spend just managing people issues
Yeah.
takes away from your ability to create strategies and implement new ideas, right? So if you're eliminating some of that people management side, you're providing some cost savings to the organization as a whole, but you're also providing those leaders with the ability to actually lead and transform their groups, and that's massive, man.
Yeah. And you do surveys, right, with the engagement.
Yeah.
And what we sometimes miss, we do these surveys, but what about that frontline leaders survey? If
Yeah.
you pull out the data and go, I had this job where I traveled around and negotiated contracts and then kept the union out of positive employee relations, so kept the union out of non-union facilities. And part of what I would do is I would sit down with supervisors and just go, "Hey, what's what's a pain in your neck every day?" And what problems do you have? And my mentor, he's actually in Phoenix, Jim. My boss and mentor, Tim Galusha, he actually runs a leadership academy now, and he said to me, he goes, if you can find the pain, there is dollars related to pain. So whenever we would negotiate contracts or find engagement, find the pain. And so these supervisors constantly are telling me, HR doesn't let me do anything when I have a problem. Their HR is late with attendance, and then by the time I get my stuff, I can't get rid of them because attendance point fell off. I need to promote this lady, and this lady needs promotion. She's great. She's smart. She's doing all the right things, but I have no way to spotlight her. How do I get them promoted? So I've heard this. They're responsible for 65 plus facilities, labor, HR. I've heard it over and over and over again. And I just want to take that pain away from that supervisor and voila, let's focus on engagement of our frontline leader, and the engagement of our employees goes up. So it's so simple, stupid simple, stupid simple.
I love it when things are stupid simple. To
Yeah.
quote our friend Emily Wilkins, make it all stupid simple, right?
Is that her
Um,
quote? That's probably where I got it from.
yeah, it might be. Uh,
Put source data.
I'll link marketing metal to this part. So, Mike, I want to see this puppy in action. The
Yeah.
viewers want to see this puppy in action. Let's see a demo of the software.
Here we are. Here's our dummy company. Um, I told you about a few key features. The one thing that we measure most of the time, you measure engagement by a survey, and you should do that. I'm not saying don't do that, but the problem with an engagement survey is the traditional engagement survey, not your offer, because you get the results back way quicker and you're on site, hands on. But you buy a survey company at the big corporations. We do the survey in October. It takes a month to get the results. We follow up, we break it down, we analyze it, we cascade it from the executive level. Now, 4 months later, I'm meeting with employees coming up with an action plan. Now, action planning has another month or two. All of a sudden, we're 6 months in, we haven't done squat.
Yeah.
So we're the proactive measure of that. You need to do that. I think surveys are a great tool.
Yeah.
We're the proactive measure to say, look, I know I've only connected with 43% of my team. So I do not want to miss that middle. This is how we grab that middle of the road person.
Yep.
Jim, have you ever, has your wife or someone close to you ever said, hey, we haven't gone out on a date lately? Hopefully your wife on the date. But we haven't.
Me too. I hope it's only my wife.
Yeah,
Man.
yeah. We haven't spent time together lately. Or a
Yeah.
friend. And
Yeah.
you go, yeah, we did. We just did that like a month ago or a couple weeks ago. And they're like, that was 8 months ago.
Yes.
That is recognition. That's the problem. I would venture to guess every single supervisor I've ever worked with would tell you, oh, I'm good at recognition. And listeners, go ask your supervisors if they're good at it.
Yeah.
And then go get your last 15 surveys, and every survey I've ever read, his recognition is a problem.
Yeah.
So what we're doing here is we're the proactive piece to show you what percentage, and this updates every day at 5 a.m. It's a 30-day rolling calendar. So
Cool.
we want to motivate the supervisors to engage with their employees. And I'm going to show you what engagement looks like here in a second. Some of those key features that I talked about is we don't table stakes, birthdays, and anniversaries. Don't miss those. When you click on this, we can actually click on it and send them a recognition. We also spotlight employees you have at risk. So this is really helpful for supervisors that have an employee with bad attendance habits. You can mitigate that and try to keep them. Or maybe I don't, if they had 18 points, maybe I don't really want to keep Steve, but I need to cross-train that machine now. I need it because if he gets to 19, he's gone. So let's cross-train on that machine and mitigating the loss of productivity. And then the last is that perfect attendance streaks that I talked about, being able to see my entire teams, how many days they've gone. So Isaiah's at 15. Come on, Isaiah. 15 days, way to go. And I'm prompting that leader every 15 days for the opportunity to recognize. My
That's
team
awesome.
hasn't given me a attendance. I've gone 930 days. So we go in.
You're the founder, man. You don't take. I've talked to you, and you're literally working as you're going on vacation with your family. So
Yeah, we haven't. There's been a few days I forgot my charger on accident, but uh, so think about this as a CRM for frontline employees. So we're the CRM. We want to build those relationships. We want to be intentional. The
Yeah.
connection, we're all the businesses is just a bunch of connections, you know. And so I can see here, I clicked on Daniel. I have a nice little note. He's from Baltimore. He's a Ravens fan. You know, that'd be unique for us in this area. We don't have a lot of Baltimore people.
Yeah.
And he's going out hunting. I'm sure most manufacturers know this. Well, at least in Wisconsin, is you'd rather take that off than probably Labor Day,
Yep.
um, the first day of hunting season. And he hates public recognition. So think about how simple that is, but how impactful that is. Because when Daniel comes to meet with me, let's say I'm a general manager, ops manager, I can go, I haven't talked to Daniel in a while, and then I'm like, hey, I heard you. Hey, I heard you got a trip out west. What are you going? Are you getting elk? Like, what's are you doing pheasant in North
Yeah.
Dakota?
What'd
Great
you draw?
conversation.
Yeah.
And then we call this our core four. So recognition, we click on here, and you can't see the drop down menu, but I'm going to select safety. So I want to drive safety for Daniel here. Thanks for cleaning up the oil spill. No one likes doing that work, but you stepped up right away and set a great example. All right. If he's Spanish speaking, I can translate it. I can put my full name on this. Now, the beauty of this is it saves it right here. We get to see it.
Oh.
So that recency bias that we talked about earlier, it saves it. Um, and we're visual factory management, right? So I can see
Yeah.
right now. I don't have to think. I don't have to waste brain power looking at how did Daniel work this year. Well, we coached
That's
him.
awesome.
What did we coach him on the 19th for? Click on that. Oh, it was the onboarding. We completed his safety training, his forklift safety training. So we have that. We have the ability to coach. One of the great features here is I can track family medical leave, the hours. I can track, and think about family medical leave from a supervisor's pain point. So a supervisor's pain point is I don't know who's going to show up. I don't know who's approved. I don't know when their paperwork's up. What we've done is we don't want to keep any medical information. We just want to make it easy for a supervisor. So we do a tick down of the hours. So you get to see hours tick down so you know when that person's going to be out. And we show them the return to work date or the certification date if it's intermittent. So we take out all that. HR can do that paperwork. What do I care as a supervisor? Is he going to make it here tonight or not? Another huge benefit is let's say I had an early departure, leave early more than 2 hours. It's a point. I could, let's say he told us why. You don't have to because there's no fault. But what would we leave in Phoenix for? So spring training game,
Nailed it.
training last second tickets. He's like, I'm out of here. Um, and I'm going to backdate it so you can see the circle on there for the 29th. Now, what this just did is it sent a text message to him that said, you've been logged as leaving early. If this is incorrect, see your supervisor. Very friendly message like,
Yeah.
hey, think about that operant. And then it also creates the warning template for you. So no longer going back for HR, back and forth, back and forth. I just click here. It creates it all for me as a supervisor. It puts in the right level of discipline. I'm going to select me as the approver. He's at termination. I no longer have to go walk to HR, see what the file looks like. I can preview all the early outs, the lates, the points right there at my fingertips. This can all be done from your phone. And then I
Wow.
send it out for approval and it's going to create the warning that I can print off.
Wow.
And
That's
then
awesome.
the last like quick thing that saves tons of time. You got an employee there's a drop down menu that's completely, this is all customizable, of course. You want to get a warning out to employees. You don't want to meet with your manager. You saw a guy with a cell phone. I can see he's had a final warning. Maybe he needs another final warning. And I can do the write up right there. It's already
Wow.
populates it. HR approved stuff for whatever you want. Cell phone conduct, long breaks, speaking inappropriately, breaking of rule. So we just give it to the supervisor at their fingertips, and we make
Yeah.
the approval process so much faster. And then as HR, I'd come in, I look at this, I go, oh yeah, he's due for a write up. He needs that,
Mm-hmm.
and I have all the data right here.
Yeah.
Uh, and there's more button is you go to fight the lead, or you want to coach this guy up at the end of the year for his performance review. I have all this recognition, all his coaching, all his attendance right in one spot.
Wow.
And so you want to change behaviors, use data to do that. This is
Yeah.
no longer an emotional conversation. This is a data driven conversation. And and then if he doesn't work out, I call this the rap sheet view. I take off recognition coaching, I put in chronological order, I show it on a calendar. Now all of a sudden I have my unemployment claim, I have my legal claim. The billboard lawyers are going to have a hard time. I may have to pay him to go away, but it's going to be very, 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 very small because
Yeah.
it's just an avoidance cost. I can show you I warned them and gave them due process.
Yep.
And I show you all that, Jim. This is just like the tip of the iceberg of some of the features that we have. The core of it is core four. Well, if you coach well, if you keep track of attendance and don't let those attendance people bring down the good ones, and you address the give the supervisor to address corrective action, and you still have the HR or the manager approval step, so you're not going to go off the rails, but you give them that tool and that language, they're going to do the right thing. And so there's the process of leadership and there's the art of leadership. And I think with what you did before, what you do with culture, you're teaching the art. A lot of times you're teaching the art, you're doing all of it, but a lot of it has to do with the individual culture of that facility, how that person was brought up, how they work, all those things. But there. And so if you take a moment and say, let's simplify, simplify, simplify. It's those four things. If you can do those four things, you will build a relationship with an employee, you'll retain your good ones, and you'll hold accountable your bad ones.
Yep.
And we see that over and over. I didn't show you the case study. We took out 11% of this facility's total cost because they're mostly labor. 11%, which
That's
was,
massive.
yeah, it's like just a huge savings. I wish I would have
Wow.
charged him more, but we are completely we are so if you're hearing this, it's a value buy for us. In
I agree. Knowing what you charge, yeah, it's a massive value. Mike, how do people get a hold of Mike White, Secchi? How do they find you to get a more in-depth demo or talk to you about pricing, value, all those kinds of fun things?
Yeah, so I'm really targeting manufacturing. So if you want to drive more productivity of your frontline employees, if you're like questioning it, follow us on LinkedIn. If you're like, I'm not reaching out to this guy, but just follow us. We're doing videos like this. We'll do There's a ton of podcasts. If you're like, who's this Mike White guy? You can listen to me on some podcasts off there. Um, so that's like, okay, this sounds good. The the people that are like, I have a need. I just paid unemployment to a person that doesn't deserve a dime. I'm in a legal thing that doesn't deserve a dime. I I have a culture issue and I don't know how to fix it. I have an employee that I know I need to get rid of, but I don't know how to deal with it. I have an employee that I need to retain. I have a great know how to retain them. Um, or a great 10 employees I need to make sure they're happy. Those people go to Secchi, SECCHI.io, and book a demo. Email me at mwhite@secchi.io. You can do that as well. Uh, we will get back to you really quickly and set you up with a demo. And we're we're growing. And like before we talked, we just landed another Fortune 500. We can do the Fortune 500, but our real most of our customers are in the space 30 to 300, 350 company, 350 employee company that doesn't want to spend the money on it.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, thank you very much, Mike, for being on. one of these rare returning guest moments, right? Where
Yeah.
had you on one show, now you're on the other, and I really appreciate your time
And then
and sharing some of your knowledge and expertise with us today. Thank you very much.
and we're gonna be at IMT. So
September 11th, come sing some karaoke with Mike. Mike, what are you going to sing?
my go-to is "Friends in Low Places" is a go.
All right.
Everybody likes it, and it's been a long time. I did it at prom when I was Donna.
Yeah, yeah,
Donna something.
yeah.
Those are my go-tos, but I need.
Oh, it's an open bar, so there
Oh,
will be plenty of that, man. Well, thanks again, Mike. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today on the Manufacturing Connector. I hope you found this episode as like mind-blowingly insightful as I did. Again, a special thanks to Mike from Secchi from sharing his expertise, demonstrating how Secchi is transforming this HR practice with super stupid simple solutions that provide data driven solutions to enhance productivity and employee engagement. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to give it a thumbs up down below and subscribe to this channel so you never miss an episode. Hit the bell icon to get notified every time that we release a new episode. I'd love to hear your thoughts and questions in the comments below. What challenges are you facing in your manufacturing journey? What topics would you like us to cover in future episodes? Stay connected with us on social media for more exclusive content and updates. Follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Remember, at the Manufacturing Connector, we're here to empower you, our viewers, with the latest innovations and insights in the manufacturing world. Join us next time as we continue to explore the future of manufacturing, one solution at a time. Until then, keep innovating, keep connecting, and come see the future of manufacturing today. Bye.